Hi, everyone. I'm Buzz, and this is the 50th edition of the Blitz Break. Can't believe it.
Man.
We're here at the BVM studios, and we've got some really great guests with us. First, I'll introduce my boy Justin. he's with me all the time.
Can't get away from me.
Yeah, we are pals. We are compadres, and
joined at the hip.
We're joined at the hip here at Big Valley. We also have a guest host, Michelle Kincaid with Kincaid Insurance.
Hi.
And looking as lovely as she always does. And she's actually here. She's sponsoring this episode, the 50th. So we'll do a commercial
exciting.
a little bit later. And Chris with Rent Pros. Chris has been here at the show before, and we wanted to come back and finish up some conversations, talk about some of the legislative things that are coming down the line, and trends. So Chris, we appreciate you being here again.
Well, it's
man,
nice to
it
be
was
here,
fun
Buzz.
last time.
Well, thanks for having me. I hope I didn't talk too much last time. I know I was watching the replay of it, and I went, I need to not talk so much. But
Oh my gosh.
You know what?
No
If we,
such thing.
I was going to say, if we had $1 for everyone who said that they talk too much on a podcast, that's the whole point. Come on.
I guess so. But I
Right?
don't want to hog the show, guys.
And we've been on the show 50 times almost.
Yeah.
We've missed a couple here and there, but it's so many times you watch yourself and you're going, do I really say that?
Yeah.
Did I really do that?
Yeah.
Can
Can I edit that?
they edit it out? And so those kinds of weird things are always something that you have to get over. We'll all say something that we do all the time. I find myself, my watch moves on me, and I find myself doing this tick. And I was watching it with one of my friends. He goes, "Do you have a weird thing with your arm?"
Yeah.
And I go, "Oh my God!"
it's just my
I
watch.
realized that it was my watch. It starts to turn over, and then of course Justin has to always come up and he goes, "Dude, you need to take a link out of that." And it's like, I know.
That's that's not at all what I say. I think I always ask if that one fits me, and I try to let you have me try it on. Like, hey, can I just try on your watch?
Yeah.
Let me see if that one fits me.
But I do that.
I'm gonna run.
I do
the
this.
second he lets me do it.
I do this all the time. And so what did you find that bothered you besides you say talk too much? What did you find that you do that was weird?
Well, Chris, you have a radio background.
I
right?
do, yeah.
I don't know if we talked about that at the last.
Yeah. I used to
You got a face for radio? Is that what you mean?
I do. Yeah, that's the problem. No, but I go back. I relate to your tick, Buzz, because I used to be a school teacher. I taught high school chemistry for 4 years, and I would teach and then one time, somehow I ended up videotaping myself, and I kept doing this, and I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I doing that? And so I made myself stop, but I was completely unaware of it until I videotaped.
What was it? Why this?
I think my shirt wasn't fitting right or something, and I
okay.
just got in a habit of doing that, and yeah, it was. So then I mentioned it to my students, and they're like, "Yeah, Mr. Rowley, you're always going like this. We don't really know why." I'm like, "Oh, you're probably all laughing at me after class, right?" It's a big.
We thought you had a neurological problem.
I know.
Well, so Michelle, look how prim and proper.
I was going to say Michelle is
perfect.
She doesn't have any
I would
ticks.
say I'm actually quite the opposite. I think that I sit here like a mannequin. Like I'm just like, don't move. You don't want to bump anything. Like, you don't want to make some sudden moves. I talk with my hands a lot. So like when I'm on camera on the podcast, I just want to like clamp up
don't.
and
Well,
sit here very tight.
I was going to say, it's like you're always very prim and proper. Your posture,
Yeah.
you look, everything is like,
Yeah.
She's got it on.
Because I could get very animated, and then I'll look back and I'll be like, "Oh my God, the double chin!" Like
double
like
chin.
you're going down.
That's
you're like,
my area of
Oh, yeah.
expertise here.
You're like, "Oh my gosh, why? My angle or whatever." So I kind of clamp up.
that's
do that.
That's funny.
Yeah,
Well, loosen up.
Don't
do the old, there
loosen
you go.
yourself.
I'm going to challenge myself to loosen up today.
I dare you to do this at some point.
I'll be knocking things over.
Yeah. Well, let me move my
Yeah,
water.
I
don't
knocked
don't
my
have an
water
open
over.
water
All right,
source near
Justin,
me.
what do you hate about your
there's
appearance?
there's so many things. The two that I noticed is I talk too fast. I get rolling and I start going really quick. And the second one is when I get real serious, I drop my left eye. And I'm just like, this is this is some serious stuff. And that left eye,
That's your
that
cue.
left eye gets real small. Like
You
that's
do the
me.
Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So that's what I
Really?
know. So now that I told everybody, now everyone gets to watch you shake your hand, you do
Right,
your
you do your
shoulder.
shoulder.
People should be paying attention to that.
And I don't know that I've ever noticed your eye.
You will now. I won't
Damn
anymore.
it.
I'm just going to do this.
That's going to be
Damn
your
it.
cue for, we're talking about
This
something
is
real-
serious.
He means it.
I'm sure my kids know it.
Yeah. And it's so weird because we get on camera and we want to say something important, and your brain is sometimes 3 sentences ahead.
Yeah.
And so it's really tough. But well, I'm glad everybody's here. We'll all watch each other. If you do your shoulder, I'll slap you. If I do my watch, kick me.
Yeah.
If he does that, knock him upside the head. But
If she
So-
stops moving.
yeah.
I do have like a.
I was going to say you have direct access to
So,
both of us.
Chris, I want to real quick go back to your background because you're like famous in the property management world.
about that.
You've published,
Yeah.
but you were like the president of the associations. At different times. So give us your background. Tell us.
Real quick, you really want the whole deal, right? I'll do this in 2 minutes, 1 minute. 30
Okay.
seconds. 30 seconds. Grew up on a cattle ranch in Northern California, learned what it was to just work all the time, so it was no big deal to me when I got into a profession and just worked all the time. And so I just really wanted to be good at what I did. And so when I started the company, I had property. I couldn't find a good manager, so I started a company. That's kind of the story. And then as I got going, I got more interested in the legislative aspect because we're really governed by that. And so I got on the board of the Rental Housing Association, eventually became the government affairs director for that organization, which is a chapter of the California Apartment Association. So that meant I got to spend a lot of time downtown under the dome, talking to those guys and that sort of thing. And, in the meantime, growing my company, I did have a radio show on KFBK for about 5 years. I started with Brent Gove as sort of a co-host.
Yeah.
First a guest, then a co-host, and then I took the show. And that was great for business. And that is, Buzz, that, believe me, if you've ever done radio and you become the guru. I mean, people think the guy on the radio must know everything.
Yeah.
So you start getting calls from even attorneys, going, what do you think about this? Or how do you interpret? I'm like, I'm not an attorney. I'm just a guy,
I just play one on
yeah.
radio.
And so that's what led to that. And my company's, I think the largest or one of the 2 largest privately owned firms here in town. And so, I still am active sort of in the legislative thing, but I'm kind of semi-retired now. And if there's a focus for me, it's to just try to help other companies and individual landlords get it right, do it right, because if we do it right, then maybe the ledge will slow down and stop, making all these new rules based on the actions of a few bad landlord actors, So that's kind of my goal, that and just to hang out and not have to do much.
Hang out and not have to do much.
That's my
that.
other goal, yeah.
Yeah. People always ask me, well, what do you want? And I says, more income and less responsibility.
Yeah, yeah. And travel, I sort of travel, but I've done that, and I have a home in San Diego, and sometimes I'll just get up and go, I'm going to San Diego for a week, and
Nice.
I do it, and a place up in the hills, and that's what I do. I just kind of do that, and when I'm in town here, I like to go hang out at the office. I talk to other managers, how you doing, what's going on, what have you seen lately, and just kind of keep up that way.
So for a company, you say you're either the largest or the second largest in the area.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean? How many do they call it? Rooftops? How many? Or
How many doors? How many
Doors.
doors
How many
we manage?
doors do you have?
Yeah, and I'm not afraid of my competition at all. It's John Tyner. John Tyner and I have had similar sized companies for years. We're sitting right around that 1,300 mark, 1,300 door mark, and I know John well. I know his daughter well. I go to the National Association of Residential Managers or some group once a month and meet with them, and it's all good. So it's measured by doors. So the number of doors that we have.
Builders or rooftops?
Is that
right,
maybe?
right?
Yeah, builders talk about rooftops, but
We talk about doors because you might have a sixplex or an
Yeah.
eightplex
Yeah.
or a
Apartment
50plex
so
or
that would
something.
have
And
6
Yeah.
doors
Yeah.
in that complex. Okay. I like it. Well, and our guest host has this amazing story. I don't know if you've ever heard her story.
no, I have not.
She has an amazing story of her insurance brokerage
Mhm.
and how it came about. Can give us the Reader's Digest version, because you're a property manager. You have homeowners insurance.
Yeah, we
So
talked
tell
about
us
that.
a little bit about your story.
Sure. Well, the personal side of it is I inherited this business about 14 years ago from my late husband, who was the guru at insurance. So he had the agency for roughly 20 years. And when he passed away, we didn't really have a plan. So I kind of had to figure it all out. And what am I going to do with this business? And I figured if he could do it, I could do it. Why not? Right. I was a stay-at-home mom at the time and, makeup artist during that time too. And I'm like, well, I could figure this out. And so long story short, 14 years later, we're thriving and here I am and still running the business. And yeah, and I really actually, I never thought in a million years I would enjoy being in the insurance industry. But I do. I really do enjoy solving problems and helping people.
And you do some amazing social media stuff, actually,
Yeah.
that I love. And
Thank
so
you.
today we're gonna. Julie's not here today.
Oh, she's
And
the guru
Julie
of social media.
is our running co-host.
Yeah.
And she always does a social media tip of the week. So I didn't tell you.
Oh, I got a tip for you. Something just came to my brain, so I got one when we're ready for
Okay,
it.
when we're ready,
Yeah.
but your agency has done so well,
Thank you.
and I'm just so impressed. She tells the story that she didn't even know where the records were, anything in
Nope.
the office.
I had no idea what the passwords were, how to get into anything.
Yeah, the computer don't even know how to turn on the computer with the passwords.
Wow.
And she
I
had
was
to take
not
it
involved in the business at
everything.
all when he passed away. I had
Yeah.
no clue.
Wow.
and that is so impressive and such an amazing story. And today I want you to tell us a little bit. We'll come back to it, but tell us a little bit about some of the things that you're seeing currently as it relates to new
Policies.
new carriers. Is it carriers
too. Yeah.
coming
Yeah.
back into the market? Policies, that kind of stuff. So. And Justin's here. Justin has
I'm here for comedic relief, I
just
think.
in your eye.
And my only that's when I get serious, though.
Okay, we'll get you serious in a little bit. So, one of the things that we talked about before the episode started, Chris, was talking a little bit about some of the new legislative things that are coming down the line. Can you share with us some of those things that our audience should know? Because I got to tell you, after you were here that day, every single one of us were going, man, I learned so much today about property management. I didn't even know this or that. So what do you have for us that's like, here's the legislative things that we need to be paying attention to?
So there's two things, really. I look at the condition of Proposition 13. Now, if you don't know what that is, it limits the amount of property tax that can be charged to a homeowner.
Mm-hmm.
And that is somebody who lives in their home or an investor. Prior to about 1978, I think it was, property taxes were driving people out of their homes. They were just, people would retire and sell their home, not because they really wanted to sell their home, but they could no longer afford the property taxes. Well, Proposition 13 went to the voters. I remember I was in college at the time and my professors were screaming, it's going to kill education. We're going to be, we won't have to shut down all the colleges. Sure. And Proposition 13 passed, which limited property taxes to 1% of the value of the home. So $100,000 home, property tax was $1,000 a year back then. as it's gone up. And what happens is, these legislators, they always find a way to tack on something. So really it's about 1.25% right now for most areas. And then it can go up, 2% a year?
2% per year.
Yeah. And fortunately, there's some challenges there you can make if your value went down, but they say it went, and so on. But that has really saved so many retirees, especially, and new buyers, and from these immense property taxes. Well, it seems like every legislative session here in California, there is some legislator trying to overturn Proposition 13, trying to get it on the ballot. And fortunately, it keeps failing. But, it's one of those things where every year they just keep coming back. And they only got 20% favor this year. And then they got 23% next year. And then they got, now they're up to 30%. So this is something I see creeping in that we get a little complacent as citizens and voters, and we really kind of whatever, but that's a big one. We really shouldn't let that get away, because the disaster we had prior to Prop 13 was real, and to undo Proposition 13 is going to take us back to that situation. So that's one legislative.
There was a lot of information going around on social media that I was hearing that, there's a proposition on the 2026 election. And I did a little bit of research and couldn't find, anything. They kept saying, no, I think you're confusing this with the proposition that failed, or the legislation that failed in 2020. To your knowledge, is there anything actually on this coming election that directly affects Prop 13?
I haven't looked, Buzz. I haven't.
Okay.
I mean, I understand that the Prop 13 thing went away for this year.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
So yeah.
I agree with you. I think that would be, I think that would be the nail in the coffin for California, because we have so many homes that over the last, 30 years, but over the last, let's say 10 years, people have lived in them. Think about all these people in the Bay Area. And you always hear about it. They bought this house 20 years ago for a few $100,000. Mm-hmm. Now it's worth $2.5 million. Mm-hmm. They're selling them, and they're able to retire or move somewhere else.
Right.
But think of all of those homes that are up and down the state of California that people would not be able to afford to live in them if they went to the taxes at $2 million now, or whatever the cost is. Yeah. You would see the most mass exodus out of the state of California that we're already seeing, but I think that would be the nail in the coffin.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think it would the impact. It's already the cost of living in California is already so high especially for retirees.
Yeah.
And that fixed income group of people, if their property taxes had increased, like you said, it would be the nail in the coffin. Now there's Michelle and I, who were lucky enough to buy our homes in the last 3 years. Mm-hmm. So our property taxes are already there.
Yeah.
We'll never get the benefit of having low property taxes.
Well, I've said this over and over. I'm, nearing retirement age, and I've said it a million times. I will not live in California once I retire.
Really, Buzz? You're thinking you move, huh?
Oh, absolutely. Wow. Okay. I will not pay I will not pay the income taxes on income.
I know.
That I generate off of my portfolio. I just won't. I won't continue to pay the prices of gasoline. Where you can go anywhere else in the United States, or maybe not New York City, but you can go anywhere else, and they're complaining about it being $3.25.
Well, not to get off subject, but you're also going to have to think about divesting your holdings here.
Oh, absolutely.
Because my ex-wife, a friend of mine, we'll just say that is. Let me start over. I edit that. A friend of mine moved from California to Idaho, kept properties here and then discovered that California, because she has properties here, reaches out to her income in Idaho. And even to that of her husband's, and they get it's about a $5,000 hit. And so she's saying, sell my California property. They're reaching out to me. So that means you got to divest everything. So that's a big move, Buzz.
And we had a wonderful lady, and I mentioned her, Kara, that is in 1031 tax exchanges. And
that's the plan.
That's I've already started, that conversation, because I'm from Texas. I grew up on a ranch, but I don't know that I could stay here.
Where would you go? Just curious, like what state you would think
Texas.
is a good next step?
All of my family still lives in Texas, and extended family and friends and that type of stuff. So Texas would be a target, but I'm also looking international.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, every day I look at.
Tell them where you want to go, Buzz. Tell them.
This house in Bali would just would be just amazing.
Couldn't you picture Buzz in Indonesia?
Oh yeah, like namaste, doing his yoga.
Oh my goodness,
and
I've
relaxing.
fallen in love with this builder in Bali. So much so that I'm already having conversations with them. One of the principals. And by email, but they build amazing structures there that all you got to do is go to Bali. Just go to Google and say homes for sale in Bali, and these builders are going in and they're building these magnificent, amazing villas that are the problem with them is that you're not buying freehold. You can, but then the price is astronomical. But if you buy it with a 25 to 27 year lease, you're buying these houses that for $400,000, this is a $3 million villa, and you buy them. You have to have cash. There's not a lot of lenders that will lend in the same way, but so you buy these. You live there, and I mean, they will, they furnish them. They do everything. They have designers that come in and furnish them better than you could furnish it yourself. And it's so different from other international locations. I mean, there's great prices in places like Costa Rica and Panama and Belize and
Philippines.
Yeah.
Have you been to Bali?
I have not been, and that's why I've been emailing saying, hey, if I come, will you, we'll give you, we'll put you up, they'll even pay
Your
for
next
the
vacation.
hotel. Yeah, it's got to be. But anyway, so
Well,
I don't know. What state would you move to?
I don't know. I'm a California girl, so I don't know. I haven't thought that far. I think it depends on where my kids end up because I'll stalk them and follow them wherever they go.
That's what we say. That's what we say.
Yeah.
I don't know
Do you
where I'm
have
going to
a
end
state
up.
I
that
don't know yet.
you would consider?
No.
Nope. California.
Really?
No.
That's-
I call it the weather tax,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I'm just going to pay it. I don't care. Whatever. Just close your eyes and write the check and go to the beach. That's
right. Or the mountains.
That's right.
Or Napa. Or
Yeah.
Yosemite.
What would you do? Or you're a California
I'm
guy.
California through and through, man.
Yeah.
I really am. Although I could explore, and I like Michelle. Like I don't know where my kids will end up. I have young kids, and so college. My oldest daughter, she keeps talking about New York, and she wants to go to college in New York. Why? I don't know, and I have no idea where this idea has come up. Well, we watch a lot of movies, and there's this romance. I was going to say, there's this romance, or there's this affair with New York City and cinema. So
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if that New York is still there.
I don't think it is. I agree with you.
I don't know. We were just there early June, my daughter and I.
Yeah.
And she's
That's
hooked.
right. You were.
Oh, I
Yeah.
remember you saying you were going to New York.
She's hooked. She
So
wants to move
it
there
was
too.
good. It was a good experience.
It was a great experience. Yeah.
Okay.
There was
What did
some
you
interesting
love?
things.
What did you love?
Just the vibe is like nothing else.
Yeah.
And we literally went all throughout Manhattan, everywhere. So every district, every little pocket you could go to. There were some that were a little scary, some of them that were just fabulous. We did have a shooting and we had a stabbing because the Knicks and San Antonio Spurs were playing. There was a little bit of that happening. So like you can't really be out on the streets late at night though. But I think like to live there for a few years, maybe not permanently, would be kind of a cool experience for a young person. I don't know, because there's a lot of walking, a lot of hitting the subway. I mean, driving and parking in New York is like a no-go.
Yeah,
I did find a gas station there, though, one in all of Manhattan, and the pricing was comparable to what it is here.
Oh, sure.
The
Really?
one,
There's
the
only
monopoly,
one gas-
the monopoly of gas stations in New York was the same price as it is here, where there's like
There it is,
a
Buzz.
million of them.
That's your retirement business. You got to go buy some gas stations and put
gas
them in
stations and-
some real estate in Manhattan.
Yeah, you know, I spent a lot of time in New York in a previous life, and I did enjoy it. There was a place that I always stayed, Seaport Village, which is where the shuttles, the ferries come across, you know, especially for all the Wall Street people. And so I had some clients that I did a lot of consulting with on Wall Street, and there's this place right underneath the Brooklyn Bridge that was about a 6-story building, and this is Seaport Village, so there's bars and restaurants and, you know, people coming on the ferries and that kind of stuff. Such a unique vibe, like you said. They'd have like rooftop bands, and in this building, you know, the old buildings where they have a window that opens. You could be on the 6th floor. The window opens, and they have these big ledges around the building. And so the band would be playing over here, and you would open up the window and you'd look, and everybody would be sitting on their ledges, just watching the band. Great vibes like that. It was a lot of fun. But you know, the most recent, all the stories and everything that you hear, it's kind of
Madonna was just on Times Square when we were there.
Who was?
Madonna.
Oh, was she?
She just came down there and she just popped out of a marquee and played 6 songs from her new album.
Wow.
We just happened to be there. We're like, what the heck? Madonna just came out of a marquee on Times Square. Like she's here live in person doing a free concert.
Well,
just
so
like
only
that.
happens in New York.
So looking back, we went down this rabbit hole. You talked about, you said you had 2 things that, you know, were bothering you. The first thing was we need to always watch Prop 13. And I agree with you. What was the other thing that you were going to bring up, Chris?
Well, okay, so this just goes back to we need to look at history before we start trying to change the future, because oftentimes we just keep cycling through. And the other subject is rent control, which we've talked a lot about last time. And the fact that, you know, rent control came into effect in first in Berkeley. That was the home of rent control.
Really?
And in
Berkeley. I would have expected New York to be, as we were staying on the New York trend, but I would have never guessed Berkeley.
When I read in this Berkeley.
Wow.
And so everything was under rent control. All houses, apartments, everything, new construction, the whole deal. And so what happened is the rental quality and the quality of life in Berkeley started to go downhill pretty fast, because landlords just couldn't afford to keep the properties up. They just left them vacant. Storefronts closed, and Berkeley became a pretty awful place in the late 60s. It just very, very run down, even around the campus. So they decided, you know what, Costa, a legislative guy, last name Costa, another one Hawkins, got together, a Republican and a Democrat, if you can imagine that. And
different era.
Yeah, they passed
Different
a bill which passed with bipartisan support in the California legislature. And what that did is it changed what properties were subject to rent control and which ones were not. For example, they said, look, we do want new construction, so we're going to say that's not subject to rent control, because who's going to build when you can't, you know, it'll never pay off. So they said, well, for the 15 years, right, you build something new for 15 years, it's not subject to rent control. And then they also came back and said, look, if you have a single family home that you're trying to live in, it's not subject to rent control. So only multifamily properties were under rent control. And lo and behold, Berkeley revived, new construction happened, the storefronts opened, and Berkeley is what it is today. And this happened in other cities, and then the similar bills came along and sort of saved the city, because they said, not everything is subject to rent control. Well, what do we have come up in a very, very strong way, and I fear that it's going to happen, is in our California legislators every year come along and they want to go back and get rid of Costa-Hawkins and say, no, let's have everything be subject to rent control. And that concept is gaining more and more and more support. And, guys like me and others, we keep saying, just look at the history books. Just look at this. Isn't a mystery, guys.
Yeah.
This isn't, we don't wonder what's going to happen.
Yeah.
We can see what
we already know.
And I think oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, before we go too far, because we've all heard the word rent control.
Right.
What does that actually do?
That's a good question.
I mean, we know it controls rent, but what does it actually mean? I'm a landlord. I have a rental. I'm charging $1,000 a month for the rent. What does it mean to me? What is the government telling me I can't do?
Okay, so the rent control bill, we'll call it, this Assembly Bill 1482, written in 2019, right after Californians voted in 2018, no, we don't want rent control. And they voted in a landslide. It was 67%. No. Well, our ledge turned around and went, well, forget the voters, and they went ahead and wrote 1482 and passed it. It's a 9-page bill that has been expanded. The concept has been expanded, but it was a 9-page bill, and only one paragraph addressed rent control, and that is, well, you can only raise your rent 5% above CPI, Consumer Price Index. If CPI is 5%, you can only raise your rent 10% a year on a rent-controlled property. Okay, so that was just one paragraph of a 9-page bill. So what is the rest of the bill? Well, it's regulation. It's what we were talking about earlier, Michelle. It's if your tenant lived in the property for more than a year, you cannot have them leave for anything but very few select reasons. I want to sell my property is not one of those reasons. So you own a duplex, Buzz, and the tenants are there, and you think, I'm going to get out of California. I'm going to sell. I need it vacant. I'm going to get a lot more money if it's vacant and get it cleaned up. No, you can't do that. That's not allowed. That's not what they call a just cause. And so the bill is filled with regulations like that. So, you ask what properties are subject to rent control. You go back to this bill, 1482, and well, it depends on what kind of property it is, how many properties that landowner owns, what kind of financing, although that part I think is dropped. But for a while during COVID, it was, well, is it under rent control? What are the regulations? Well, you have to look at what kind of loan you have, how many properties you have. It's subject to all these very strange things. And look, it worked. It works to leave it. I mean, it's the way it is for a reason, right? It's not just some arbitrary thing. So when you talk about overturning it, I think the people that are wanting to overturn this reg are people who really have not looked at history to say, here's how it was before, here's why we made this change, and now to go undo that change is going to send you right back to where you were 80 years ago,
And I think two things are at play too that become really difficult for consumers or voters or whatever we want to say. Is you hear the concept of rent control and you say, well, why wouldn't I want to, protect rents going up? That makes perfect sense. And it's not really, it's more landlord regulation that it really is. It sounds like there's 9 pages
it really is,
of landlord regulation, but it's disguised or it's hidden under this rent control, which sounds very positive, for renters, for the consumer. And the other piece too that I think is that there's desperation for affordable housing in California, but this isn't the way to get affordable housing. Those are the two things I think at play that are causing this to still be
this is the opposite way to get low rents.
Yeah,
actually.
exactly.
Imagine if there were no regulations and everybody's just building and there was just rentals everywhere. I mean, they'd be cheap.
Yeah,
I was
going to say supply and demand, right?
If I got a hardware store and I got a lot of hammers, those hammers are going on sale, right? If I got one, I want top dollar for it.
Yep.
So yeah, it's supply and demand, and that's basic econ 101.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, and I think you hit the nail on the head when you said people don't look at history. And I would almost say, and this comes in with the conspiracy theorists, I would almost say that a lot of people don't care about what the history was. They have an agenda, and they don't really care about the global effect of their agenda. And so, and they feel like they won't be affected by their rules and regulations. It's where you always get the rules for thee, but not for me. I think that people neglect to look at history because they don't want that to cloud what they want done.
Right. Well, at the risk of repeating myself, when this bill was being proposed, we looked around the country. I was the government affairs director at that time for that chapter of the California Apartment Association, and we looked around the country and went, you know what? Everywhere that rent control has been established, rents have gone up a lot because of the shrinkage in the housing stock and other reasons. But rents have gone up tremendously. So even though I was on the board and I'm arguing against this, I'm a landlord and I have properties, and I'm kind of thinking, you mean my rent could double in the next 4 years? Maybe I should be for this.
Yeah,
and
because you get a percentage.
I would listen to these tenant activist groups at the city council meetings, and they're railing, and I'm thinking, you just don't know what you're asking for. So was I right? Look at history. Look at what's going on in 2019 and 20, and about 15 years before that. Rents were very stable. Actually, they were quite stable. They'd maybe go up 2 or 3% a year. Citrus Heights, for example, 3 and 2 was $12.95, and that was it. Where was it just 4 years later? Pretty close to $2,000. What is it now? Around $2,500. And, so that's doubled in 6, 7 years. And so it's like, you guys just didn't know and you wouldn't listen to anyone. You just were angry. And the city council meetings downtown Sacramento got pretty heated sometimes. And we'd try to say our piece, but all the signs and all this stuff and the chanting, and okay, so city council passed it and then the state passed it. And yes, rents have gone up a lot. So,
apparently I'm not charging my son Austin enough rent.
Yeah. Well, it's your son.
Let's
not talk about renting to our kids.
Well, talking about costs.
Yeah.
And one of the things, and we've seen this before. Who was it that was talking? A guest 2 or 3 weeks ago was talking about how rents were going up, or not rent, but costs were going up on their insurance, so much so that people were having to sell their houses.
Oh, that's right. And we were talking mainly in the foothills that people were having to vacate, like Pollock Pines and things like that, because they wouldn't renew policies, and then the new policies that they would have to get would be so expensive that you go from, $1,000 a year to $5,000 a year.
Yeah.
So we have amazing guest here that we actually did a little video. Was that earlier this week or was it last week?
That was last week.
Oh, wow. Time flies. About one of the things, and I saw one of your posts, and you were talking about that more and more carriers are now starting to trickle back into California. Tell us about that. What's the trend? What's going on?
Well, we're actually writing way less California Fair Plan policies now. I think only wrote one last month altogether. Most of them are going to surplus lines companies, which is great.
Well, for people that don't understand or don't know, what is California Fair Plan and why would they need it?
So there's like a hierarchy, right, of insurance. We've got our preferred carriers. Those are the ones you see on TV, Liberty Mutual, Nationwide, Mercury Insurance, like those brands, right? So we go to those markets first. If they say no, then we go to surplus lines. And surplus lines is like your Lloyd's of London. They do higher risk type properties. They're going to be a little bit more expensive. They're not admitted in California, so they don't have to follow the rules of Department of Insurance, and they don't participate in the California Guarantee Association. So, but that's like the next layer.
Is there anything negative, just out of curiosity, for the consumer to go with a surplus line on that, since if they're not being regulated in the same way?
I would say the biggest risk is that they could raise the rates.
Okay.
And they don't have to go through a whole process like through the Department of Insurance, where admitted carriers have to go through a process.
But if there was a claim or something that was needed, they would get paid the same.
They would get paid the same. In fact, like maybe I would even argue, like Lloyd's of London probably backs most of them up, and they're ginormous.
Sure.
I mean, they're worldwide. They're known for all kinds of weird, obscure type of policy types, like insuring Tina Turner's legs back in the day. If you guys
Right.
remember that,
I was going to
That would
say,
be Lloyd's of London.
you need to work with
or
them.
Jennifer Lopez's butt,
Sure,
right? They
no,
do
really?
weird.
Is that who
they do
insured?
weird stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they do. That's their whole MO is to do more complicated type
Sure.
of policies, right? And so that would be the hierarchy. And then you go to California Fair Plan as your last resort. But a lot of people don't realize that California Fair Plan is they're a nonprofit. They're not run by the state of California. And a lot of these preferred companies, they actually are pulling out of California, but they're helping out the California Fair Plan in turn. So they keep their books clean, everything. And this is just the really basics of it all. To keep their books clean, not having too many big, huge losses or anything like that, they just stop writing in certain areas. California Fair Plan is the one who would write them. And then if they get into a pickle, basically like the Palisades would happen,
Right.
they would have to help them bail them out. Is kind of how it kind of works in a nutshell. But we really don't want to go to the California Fair Plan because that's the last resort. They're not really designed to take on all the policies in California and all the high risk areas. The math doesn't math there. It doesn't make any sense. So having new surplus lines carriers come in and kind of pick up the pace on that. We're seeing them trickling in little by little. I actually just got my credentials for a new company yesterday that I'm going to start testing and seeing what they'll pick up in El Dorado County, which is great. So now I only really have like 3 carriers that are writing in El Dorado County. And that sounds like, oh, that's enough, right? But they spread their risk out. They don't try to put all their eggs in one basket. So we need a lot of carriers to come in and help out. But it also plays in a lot with what we were talking about earlier about Proposition 13 too, is where we have these people who bought their homes 40 years ago and they don't really owe anything on it. They have their property tax issues now. Now they're going to have also their insurance issues. And so it kind of, there's that situation that happens too. Insurance is kind of pricing a lot of people out of their retirement homes. And
Right.
Even though we have new solutions, it's still vastly different in cost than what they had been used to paying before. I mean, some of these people were only paying like $400, $500 a year, a couple of decades ago, and now we're looking at $14,000.
Right.
And, sometimes it's, it's not that much. Like in Shingle Springs, it's probably about $4,000 or $5,000 to insure a house in Shingle Springs right now.
That's just crazy to me.
$500 a month, like that's expensive. That's a huge.
That is a significant swing
Yeah.
from a lender standpoint.
True.
That's a significant swing in the amount of qualifications.
It knocks out their ratios, right?
Right, right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's. I mean, $500 depending on where interest rates are. I mean, that could equate to $50,000.
Yeah.
$75,000.
Easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That you lose out on qualification.
Well, and it's a mental thing also, because you're buying a home, and if you've bought homes before, so now you're looking at buying a house, and you start looking at it, and someone says, instead of, oh, your homeowner's insurance is $159 a month, instead of saying something like that, they're coming to you and they're going, okay, your homeowner's insurance is $500 or $600 a month, and it's like, what?
Wait a minute. Yeah.
And so there's a negative impact on my desirability. It's like, why would I? Same way with, and this happens a lot with homeowners association dues.
That's true.
Yeah.
That you find a place and, okay, that's not a bad price. And then they come in with a homeowners association dues and you're going, what is this for?
Yeah.
Oh, well, we mow the yards and we keep the lights on the little, gate in the front. And but there's no guard at the gate. It's just a brick wall, with the name on it. So a lot of times all of those extra things start going, wow.
Homeowners associations. My wife and I, we bought a house a while ago. Our first house was a townhome in a beautiful area, lovely part of Sierra Oaks in Sacramento area. And when we bought, it was like $189. So no big deal. by the time we had ceased to own that property and sell that property, it had gone up. It was like 625 by the time that we had left. And so it had gone up significantly. Wow. Now we owned it for almost 18 years. So that took almost 18 years to get that high. But regardless, it was a constant. And the reason we decided not to retain that property and to keep it as a rental was the homeowners association being so high and continuing to go up. And continuing, they would do certain things, and I'm not alluding to the fact that we thought they were stealing or taking anything, but they would do things like they would change out fences because when you have lumber cost, they account for dry rot and insects and things like that in those lumber costs, and so they had gone to these plastic type fences that they insured us. Well, we don't have to carry the same reserves for the plastic fences. And so that means homeowners association dues are going to go down, but we're going to go ahead and buy all these plastic fences. And so your homeowners association dues are going to go up so we can buy it. So long-term we can save it. And then you never realize the savings. Well,
sure.
Oh, we're going to refinish the pool. Cause of course we have to refinish the pool, and things like that. And it was just always the spending, but there was never the realization of the savings.
Well, these things always affect
and rent.
That own properties.
Well, and we had to sell that property a lot less than we could have because someone qualifying had to qualify with an extra almost, $650. Our unit, there was one unit that was almost $700 a month,
Well, you think about it, like in El Dorado County, you could buy a house there really inexpensive right now. The average cost of rebuild, I think right now, is somewhere around $350 a square foot. But you buy a house in El Dorado County, the cost to buy it is way less than that. So because you're tacking on the insurance and the property taxes and all the things too. So you're getting a house for a good value, but your cost of living is going to be exponential, and it's a moving target. Actually, I have a question for you around that too, about the rent control. Does that account for, let's say, those rising insurance costs? Like if I own a property that I want to rent out in El Dorado County, and all of a sudden now you got these wildfire issues and everything, and my insurance jumps from $4,000 to $8,000 a year, I can't kick that back to my tenant, right? I have to absorb that cost, right?
Too bad.
Yeah. Okay.
No, too bad. So sad. I mean, water heaters are going up. Everything is going up. And so when they start to, the floor comes up on your cost, the ceiling comes down on your rent, pretty soon you just say, done.
There's no reason for me to.
Yeah. And we have a state, but New York just did a rent freeze. How do you do a rent freeze when costs are going up and then the city's raising taxes and regulations and such? So, yeah, I have a couple clients who only purchase rental properties in homeowners associations.
Wow.
I know.
Well, but there's a lot more regulations and you're not having to worry about your tenants putting cars on blocks, I guess.
That's true. And everything has worked out well for them until they get the occasional special assessment.
Yeah.
And I have a place in San Diego with HOAs, and we just got hit with a special assessment, and those kind of like hurt. But
oh my gosh.
I think part of what made such an impact for us is we bought that as what was a newer build at the time, 18 years ago.
Yeah.
And so they had not settled into what it was actually going to cost to maintain that property as a whole. Yeah. Where if you were to buy, I think, a property that's 30 years old that happens to be a 30-year-old condo, they've kind of dialed in the homeowner association. You're going to move in and they're going to be, if they're $400, they're not going to be 820 years.
Right.
They're going to, it's just going to go with the cost of what's going on within the economy. But for us, with it being a newer build, then they had grossly underestimated the cost of what it was going to be, and so it just would jump significantly every single year.
The newer builds too, I think you have Mello-Roos, right? Because you have to build out the neighborhood.
Yeah, which that special assessment, Mello-Roos.
That extra 0.25% or whatever.
Right. Now, do you write the policies for HOAs?
Yeah.
Because that's one of the costs. You always say, well, okay, I have an HOA, but I don't have homeowners insurance.
You still need to have both. Well, let's say you're in a condo, right? Mm-hmm. So the HOA will have their walls out policy, and then you have the walls in
So
policy.
you still need to get like a renter's insurance, right, or something.
I
Or-
recommend it for everybody to have renter's insurance no matter what, because that takes the pressure off of the landlord one for liability issues too. Let's say if, and I see this happen a lot. You may see this quite a bit too, where the landlords don't expect a renter's policy from their tenants. And so they're assuming all the liability anytime they have Joe Schmo come on the property to do whatever, or who knows what they're doing behind closed doors. Someone gets hurt or someone, trips and falls on a crack, whatever, anything that can happen liability wise, you're on the hook for that, especially if they don't have a landlord or a tenant policy in place to cover that part.
Dogs too.
Okay, so I actually have a question for you on dogs, because I had this issue with one of my my landlords who has a landlord policy in downtown Sacramento, and the carrier does not allow pit bulls or certain aggressive breed dogs. Well, the gal that was renting it didn't tell her that she had a dog. She got it after the fact. She got a pit bull. And so the carrier's like, we're going to cancel the policy. We did an inspection. We see there's a pit bull on the property. Well, it's an emotional support dog.
Yeah.
So she can't require her to get rid of the dog, even if dogs were not allowed in her rental agreement. What is your take on that?
Pit bulls, Dobermans, Chows, Akitas, and I think it's Dalmatians. Yeah, those are the
Dalmatians.
Yeah.
Really?
Dalmatians, see, they're so cute. Why would you be mean to them?
They bite a lot. They nip a lot. That's what I've heard. So,
And Chihuahuas, believe it or not.
Oh,
Yeah.
they're vicious little.
Yeah.
it's
Things.
They're not on there for all carriers, but some carriers have Chihuahuas as one of their no-goes.
But back to your question, Michelle. Yes, we get a lot of people. No, I don't have any pets. You go inspect the property, and there it is, right? And so they'll say, "Well, that's my emotional support animal." Well, there's some documentation that they are required to obtain. And then we have a national database. We go and make sure it was properly obtained. And if that's the case, it's a roommate. It's no longer an animal, if you will. And no, we nor the insurance companies can say, "Hey, move that roommate out." It'd be like telling them to move one of their kids out or something. So
Wow.
it's not that same level.
That's interesting. I live downtown, and I don't have a dog, but I have cats, and my cat that I had for 22 years passed away, but all my neighbors would tell me that, oh yeah, no one wants to come by your house with walking their dogs because my cat was so mean. And literally I'd be outside, sitting on the porch, and I'd see someone walking their dog, and they'd cross the street, go around. Madison used to just sit up on the porch, just going, "Yeah, come on down here, buddy." So he would beat up every dog that came down the way. But so it's not just dogs, it's cats. I haven't.
Well, you can have a cat. You can't. It's an aggressive dog. So even though you have an aggressive cat, doesn't it's not on the list. It's okay.
Yeah, you'd have thought he was a tiger, the way that everybody was scared of him.
And it is very important. We do require all of our tenants to carry renter's insurance. We've done that for many years now. They accidentally burn down the kitchen or start a fire in the back patio and they flick their cigarette or what have you. So that has helped. They've we had the owner's insurance takes care of it first, then they subrogate. Mm-hmm. And that's worked out many times. Also, if there's a mold issue or some kind of an issue where the tenant needs to move out for a little while, that insurance, actually those policies, I have seen them not cover the hotels and stuff as much as they used to. Some still do.
Mold is getting to be more of an exclusion on most carriers now.
Yeah. Wow.
Meaning that they're not covering.
Because they've had just too many claims.
Yeah.
Water is another one where they have more water claims than fire claims. That's the most costly effect. So a lot of carriers are requiring like automatic water shut-off devices or excluding or capping how much they'll pay out on water claims.
Yeah.
Wow.
Is that something that they can add to the policy when you renew the caps, or?
No, well, it's kind of like it's carrier specific. So
Sure, okay.
like they're all kind of different, where if they feel like they just take too many, or, if they're risk profile, like if they're, especially like with surplus lines carrier, right? They take on more higher risk type properties, older ones, things that are built in like 1940, old properties, that sort of thing. They're high likely to have water claims because of the piping is outdated. So they'll just say,
Or
we're not going to do more than 10,000.
My house in 1919 built. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of carriers are not even doing anything older than 1940. So you have to go
that
to a
doesn't sound
specialty
good to
carrier
me.
for that. Yeah.
And my
Stay
home
where
is
you're
almost
at.
there too. Mine's 1950.
Oh.
But you see, like, there's a lot of these things that happen, like, especially with the tenant, you know, it's kind of out of your control. Maybe they left the bathtub running.
Yeah.
That had nothing to do with faulty pipes or anything that,
We've had all
that
that
it was
happen.
the landlord contributed to, like, for not updating something. It's because the tenant let the bathtub run out, and now you got this huge mess. So it's not always the insurance policy will pick it up 100%, but there could be some shared amount to where you're not taking the full hit on that.
And the renter's policy would cover some of that as well.
It could cover some of it.
Yeah.
A lot with insurance, there's a whole lot of gray
Could
area.
is the operative word.
And
On
I
purpose.
I said
On
this the
purpose.
last time Chris was here, and I can't remember what it was. I go, I need to reach out to my property manager on some of my properties. And I'm going to say this again. I've never thought about requiring renter's insurance.
Oh,
And I don't know if my property manager does. So
There you go.
I would
thank
double
you.
check on
There's
that.
there's one thing.
Take away
yeah.
from today.
Yeah.
Renter's insurance is not that expensive.
oh no.
In some areas, it's like $150 a year. It's not expensive.
It's like $10 a month or 15, 12, something like that. Yeah.
I think I need to. So before we get too far, you said that you had the social media tip of the week. So what's that tip?
Well, if you're on Instagram, I highly recommend being on Instagram.
Agreed.
If you're on Instagram, there is a feature on there called trials. If you are not testing in trials, you're missing out on a whole lot. So you could literally get one framework of a video you want to do. Let's say you're doing like a B-roll video or a talking head, and you want to test out different hooks, like an on-screen hook. You could post up to 5 of that exact same reel and change the hook on every single one. So you're not reinventing the wheel, right? You're just testing different hooks and just see which one performs the best before you push it out to your followers. And
How would it know that it tests? I mean, AI, or how do they know it tested?
so before you post the video, when you scroll down and you select if you wanted to go to Facebook and to Threads and to different platforms, you could click trials. There's a little toggle like right above it, and it'll push out to non-followers first and not to your followers. So you could do 5 of the same video, but just different hooks across the board. And whichever one wins, I just call it winner, gets to go and post to your followers, right? So you test it for about 3 days. But here's what I've noticed, that when I use the trials, I actually get a lot more traction to non-followers than I would have the opposite way. Like,
Oh, wow.
like leaps and bounds, like thousands more.
Wow.
And so then when I push it out to my followers, I've already got 3,000 views on it or whatever the case may
Well,
be.
and Instagram kind of already knows how it's going to perform.
Exactly.
They've dialed it in for you.
Yeah.
Can you explain to someone that may not know what is a hook?
So a hook is basically that first 3 seconds of attention you're going to grab on the screen. And there's a couple of different ways that you could get a hook. One is the on-screen visual text. There's also the visual of what you're doing. So you'll notice that some people will do a sudden movement like right before. That's technically a hook because that caught your eye, right? That caught your attention. So it basically anything that catches your attention within the first couple of seconds. And then a good skilled video is that every couple of seconds you change the hook somehow, whether that's changing the scenery or moving to a different location or some sort of a cut in between, or it could be what you're saying to get them back in. Like you first hook them, with your hook of what you're going to talk about in this video, and then you kind of talk about it for a little bit, and then you hook them a little bit more with like kind of a teaser, like the carrot in front of them. So there's like you're always hooking them throughout the video. The longer the video, you want to layer in more
You gotta
hooks.
Keep them going.
Exactly.
And is that why you'll see a lot of videos where it'll say, make sure to stay until the end. You won't believe. And then you stay till the end and there wasn't anything. And you're going, what the hell?
Yeah.
So you have to watch it again just to see if you missed it.
Well, sometimes people will give you the ending and then go into the video. So you notice that a lot with with recipes and stuff.
Yeah,
They'll show
that's
you
the
what
hook.
we're making instead of just starting with the recipe from the beginning. Because if you're getting your eyes are seeing, oh, we're going to make this wonderful chocolate cake, right? and then they show you how to make it. You've hooked them, and now they want to learn more. Whereas if you start with a bowl with batter in it, it's not as like,
Right.
Okay,
What's it going to turn into? Who knows? Are
Yeah.
you making cupcakes? Are you making cookies? What's happening?
Yeah,
That's
I mean, it might hook some people who are hungry.
Yeah.
But but to see a beautiful chocolate cake first, and then let's make it is kind of a different.
Wow.
setup.
Okay. Well, one last question for you.
I had a question.
You have a question for her?
What's Instagram?
Oh gosh.
It's easy. I
me
kind
and
of know.
Mr. Radio over here. Where's Instagram?
We're still saying MySpace, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. I got AOL.com, man.
AOL. I keep seeing people that still have an email address at AOL.com.
I have a few clients like that.
Yeah, I do too. Some clients.
That
Or
goes
SBCglobal.net. That's another one that's ancient.
That's my
Which one?
That's my parents.
Is that?
Yeah.
SBC.
SBC.
Oh, yeah.
When you
I
give me
had
that, I'm like,
SBC.
Did you?
I did. Dang.
Hotmail's another one.
What?
Hotmail.
Hotmail.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Well, question for you. You're the guest here.
Yeah.
Local restaurant. What's your favorite local restaurant here?
I live in Loomis. I like the Flower Farm. Have you ever been there?
No,
Yeah.
I've never even heard of it.
It's so
All right.
pretty.
Flower
You've been there?
Farm
Uh-huh.
is on the corner of Horseshoe Bar Road and Folsom Auburn Road.
Perfect.
Started out as almost nothing, a little nursery, and then they got a little place to eat. It's just expanded, and it's just very quaint. It's indoor or outdoor. You're surrounded by the mandarin groves. We sit by the water and watch the little ducks. We're 10 feet away from them, and sometimes there's somebody there playing guitar, at 10 o'clock in the morning. So I'll do my walk in the bird sanctuary, and then I head over to the flower farm about once, twice
flower
a
farm.
month. Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna have to definitely check that
Yeah,
out.
check it out.
It's
We'll
not-
go-
it's
we'll
not
go
too
to
far
lunch.
from us.
We'll go to lunch
Yeah.
there sometime.
Great food. too.
Don't try to hold my hand.
So
It's very romantic, so he might try. He might get the
I'm not
feels.
watching ducks with you.
we can go watch the ducks together, Justin.
You know I'd love that.
As
a bag of
we
bread.
It's pretty cool, actually.
as we start to wrap this episode up, I do want to say that today's episode, the 50th episode, has been sponsored by our lovely Michelle Kincaid and Kincaid Insurance. Michelle, how can someone get a hold of you to get some quotes, get the information?
Oh, they can give me a call, 530-672-1979, or visit my website at kincaidinsurance.com. And that's Kincaid with a K.
K.
Kinkaid.
2 Ks. 2
Yes.
Ks.
2 Ks, not a C. That
Yeah.
always happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, my daughters come home with like honor roll with the C in it. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, babe.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, we appreciate your, always being here and being part of everything that we
I
do.
love hanging out with you guys. You guys are so
it's
fun.
been so great, and I hope that if you do have out there, if you have a need for insurance, that you'll give her a call, give her a chance to find you the best policy. So thank you for doing that. And if as we leave, Chris, what's if you were to say right now, what is the key thing that people need to know about property management?
That there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. Common sense does not prevail. You need to know the rules, learn them from a professional. If you want to DIY, manage it yourself, go have a manager manage it for a year or so, kind of learn the process, and then go try it on your own, or you're going to have to join an association or whatever. But there is a right way to do it. You need to learn that in order to be successful. Otherwise, you're going to get caught up and be licking your wounds later, wishing that you
Yeah, that's good advice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great. And people can get a hold of your firm. What's the best way to get a hold of your firm?
Well, rentpros.com. My email is very easy, chris@rentpros.com.
Well,
not AOL.
Pros, plural.
We appreciate it. Justin, what do you got that would be the key point today that you want people to know before I close this up with a market report?
Yeah, give us a market report. I'm excited to try the flower farm. That was my takeaway from today.
Your takeaway today?
Yeah.
You have any key takeaways?
I'm really glad that I got to meet you today, because
Thank you.
I've been curious about a lot of these landlord situations, not only as an insurance agent, but also because I plan to rent my own house out here in the next couple of years. And having been a renter before that, you know, I've always wondered what the rules were and what the laws were and everything.
Yeah.
And so I really appreciate you bringing your knowledge today.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Same here. And, you know, they always say, well, the reason rents go up is because of greedy landlords. And I always thought the reason my insurance rate went up is because of greedy insurance brokers. But I guess after meeting Michelle, I see I was wrong. So
Yeah.
what do you know?
Yeah.
But
she's
no,
a
it's nice to
sweetheart.
meet you as well. I'd like to get your card because we have clients needing insurance all the time.
A great connection.
We want to shop it around.
Great
Get somebody
connection.
else.
Well, guys, you know, just to wrap up the week here, we're actually going to end the week with a little bit better interest rates than what we started, which is really weird because yesterday I thought, oh my gosh, the market dropped off. This week has been all about employment numbers. Employment is one of the key drivers in inflation. And, you know, we had a Fed meeting a week ago, 2 weeks ago, whenever, and there was a couple, they didn't raise interest rates, but there was a few Fed governors that were dissenting, which rarely happens. And they kept quoting, inflation is going to still be driven by employment numbers. It's one of the key pieces. As we start to see oil prices, oil prices have been inflated strictly because of the transportation of that through the Strait of Hormuz. And they're noticing that that oil is going to drop. It's going to drop like a rock when all of this gets solved. But they keep saying employment numbers. This week has been all about employment numbers, and the numbers have not been good.
Right.
Matter of fact, this morning we had the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the BLS report, and they've been historically, and I'm going to use the word incompetent on the way that they report it all. And, so everybody was expecting that something like, we're going to see that, the economy picked up 80,000 new jobs. Well, they came out and reported, no, actually we've lost something like 23,000. So there's 100,000, job swing. And then they also said, oh, and by the way, the last 2 months we overestimated by another 100 and something thousand. And so it's the weakness is showing. And so the market obviously rallied today on that. We're trying to get back to some important ranges that are up there. It's been tough slogging it out for the last 3 weeks. 4 weeks.
Yeah.
But so the employment numbers are not as good as they figured. So we're seeing a little bit of rally. Next week is the PPI and the CPI, which is another key inflation indicators. Thank you.
No, gauge is a better
so
word.
we'll see. But here's the news. We're ending the week better than what we started. So I'll take the win. And, guys, I just want to say thank you. This has been the 50th edition. We've got some changes coming up on the horizon, some fun things. And I want to thank Chris. Man, your knowledge base is just amazing. Thank you for being here, for being supporting the show. And I hope you'll come back again.
Well, thanks for having me, Buzz. Absolutely.
Every time we'll introduce you to someone fantastic like Michelle. Right. Michelle's been a great sponsor,
friend of the show.
Friend of the show, right? And Justin, thank you for being here, guys. Catch us on all the platforms, and we'll see you next week on the next episode.